Hey guys, Gijoe here, and welcome back to my bunker here in Atlanta, Georgia, where we are continuing on with our BBR series, informational tutorials on how to play BBR. Today's video is going to be regarding your needed supplies or components that you will need in order to play Siredblood's Bloodbath rule set. So the first obvious thing is, obviously, this is an adaptation of the Axis&allies Global 40 out of box. So you're obviously going to need a copy of Axis&allies Pacific 1942nd edition, as well as Europe 1942nd edition. Okay, so all the pieces and components as far as planes and infantry, all those kinds of things, armament, naval, Air Force, Navy, will be derived from that. Okay, there are only a few other minor pieces that you will have to get. So that's the great thing about this rule set, is you don't have to go and buy a whole bunch more of other pieces in order to play this. The intent is this rule set is so that you can play the Global 40 game just at a faster pace in a shorter amount of time. So let's talk about some of the components here that are needed for the BBR. And some of these are, I would recommend, and some of these, of course, would be required. And the first one being the Pacific and Europe games. Okay, that would obviously be required. All right, the next thing you're going to need is a map. Now, you can use the global map that comes in the box. That's fine. However, there are some changes to the map. There are a few IPC changes. There is a C-zone change around Japan. There are some changes in mountain ranges between China and Russia, as well as a Trans-Siberian Railway. Now, you might be able to get away with taking some tape and adding that to your out-of-box map, and that's fine. You can probably get around that. In fact, I've actually seen a couple people do it that way. But I would recommend, if at all possible, that you pay $20 to get the map file that you see below here. And I'll have a separate video dealing with just this map to show you the differences. But I will put a link in the description of this video that has where you can get this file for only $20. Okay, and the good thing is with that 20 bucks, you also get any updates that Siredblood may do. So you're going to need a map. Okay, the next thing is you're going to need some type of way of tracking the technology chart. Now, Siredblood has right here. Of course, I've made this up on my own. There's a technology chart, and it's attached and associated with the income tracker. The technology chart is right up here. Again, you don't have to buy this. If you download his handbook for free, I believe he has one in there you could just print off if you want, or you could just get a piece of paper. So I would recommend that you get something like this. You know, you can have, you don't have to get it all fancy, mounted on wood and weathered. You can just print it on a piece of paper if you like. Okay, so that shouldn't cost much. So you'll need some type of technology tracker. You're also going to need a 90 card Bloodbath set. Now, this is pretty much a requirement, I would say, because this card set here contains 90 cards. It has every national objective for every single nation. Okay? All right? And it also has 2 rule sets. So one can go on the Axis side of the table. The other rule set can go on the Allies side of the table. All right? And then, of course, you have national objectives for every nation, some of which are out of box, some of which are new. Okay, so you're going to need this. This is, I would say, a required necessary component. You can get these cards for 20 bucks. It's a steal off of myplayingcards.com, and I will put a link in the description below. And a big shout out to Matt Todd, who helped to make these available to the community. So thanks, Matt. So you're definitely going to want to pick up a set of these, okay? What else are you going to need? You're going to need some type of currency, which you should already have if you have these 2 games. I prefer the casino chips from I Will Never Grow Up. If you have your own casino chips, that will work. Of course, if you have paper currency, that will work. I did a video a while back on different types of currency. I'll try to put that link in this video as well in the description in case you want to check out some different methods of keeping track of income. You're going to need I would recommend a bloodbath battle board, okay? Now again, this is for free download if you want to print it on your own, okay? And I believe if you buy the book, I think if you print off, well, we'll look at the book in a second, but if you print off the file, this is in the file, the free file, and you can just print it on a piece of paper if you like. Everything is, for the most part, out of box, with the exception of a few things like capital ships. If they're damaged, there's some combined arms things here that are slightly different, which we'll talk about in a subsequent video. So I'd recommend downloading the free file and printing this off, okay? I'll put that link in the description as well. All right, so as far as tokens, as I said earlier in my introductory video, the victory objectives are all based off tokens or points. And so what you see right here are the 28 points that can be achieved by the Axis. And of course, these Roundels are what Siredblood made, and they are two-sided. If the gray side means they have not been achieved, the red side means they have been achieved. So you see Berlin red, Berlin gray. And each one of these you can flip over once you achieve them. Now this is not required. I do recommend this. And as far as where to get these, I bought these from Siredblood, and these will be available, my understanding, on his website, which is soon to be up. I would say sometime in November. And it's going to be siredblood.com, so you're going to want to check that out. And you'll be able to purchase these as well. If you don't want these, you know, you can keep track of how many points you have on a piece of paper or something like that. So this isn't necessarily required, but it's definitely a neat customization that will make the process easier keeping track of what points you have. But you don't have to have those. You can keep them on a piece of paper if you like. All right, you're going to need tech roundels. 30 tech roundels, okay? These, again, can be acquired on his website, siredblood.com. Here, that should be up and running on November. And there will be 30 tech roundels. There should be 3 of each tech. The technologies are also listed on the rule card, which will be included in the Bloodbath card deck. So if you don't have the means, or you don't want to pay for tech roundels, or maybe you can make your own, but if you have the card deck will pretty much have everything you need in it. This just makes it a neat customization, all right? You're also going to need 5, we recommend 5 air transport, okay? So later on, we're going to talk about how you can use, reclassify bombers as transports, air transports. And so Siredblood has made these cool air transport roundels. So what you would do is, if your bomber is used as an air transport, you simply put that underneath it, so that so that everybody knows that that bomber is classified as an air transport and it will not be participating in the battle. Again, you don't have to have these. They will be for sale on siredblood.com. But if you just want to put a different colored chip underneath it, or tip the bomber upside down. I mean, again, you don't have to have these. They're just recommended, and a kind of a neat customization. Some type of submerged token, whether you have Siredblood's own customized submerged token. I know Historical Board Gaming has those really neat acrylic submerged tokens. Just some way to denote that a submarine is submerged, because that will affect some things like convoys, which we'll talk about in a subsequent video. Pro-Axis and Pro-Allied roundels. Now, he has created some Pro-Axis roundels and Pro-Allied. I just don't have my Pro-Allied here. But, again, you don't have to have these. If you want to use some type of different colored chip, if you have some different, chips here that, greens, yellows, blues, whatever, feel free to use those. That would be fine. Again, none of those are required. You can get away with playing the game without having to spend a lot of money. And some type of game round tracker, okay? Whether that just be, round 1, just so you know that it's round 1 through 8. I personally have mine, built into my custom table over here. All right. So, but again, you may not have a table. You may just have, you know, your dining room table that you set stuff on. So just some way to keep track of what round you are on. All right. So most of that stuff is recommended. The one thing, like I said, that is required, I say required, but it's going to be difficult to play without, is this card deck. You're going to want to, this is well worth the 20 bucks. So far, everything we've talked about, there's really only a $20 investment so far in order to play this. Everything else that I've mentioned is just a cool customization that maybe makes it easier, but you can do all of these things on paper. You know, your tech tracker on paper, you can keep track of your victory points on paper, you use chips for your air transports and et cetera and et cetera. So, and your technology tokens. So, so far the card deck, myplayingcards.com, you definitely want to grab those. All right, so let's talk about a few other things. Now, you are going to need to purchase, and you may already have these items, you are going to need some units. For instance, particularly cavalry. Sorry. So these are my Chinese cavalry. Now, these are the Axis and Allies miniatures. I think these are the Polish cavalry, and I just painted them the same color as my Chinese. But, you know, you don't have to use these. If you want to use some type of other token, if you want to use the ones from HBG or what have you, you would need 3 cavalry. And that's all you need because China cannot have more than 3 cavalry on the board at one time. And we'll talk about that in the China rules later. So you're going to need 3 cavalry, and you're going to need 2 Chinese tanks, light tanks. Light, heavy doesn't really matter, but just 2 tanks. And you only need 2 because China can only have no more than 2 tanks per game. And we'll talk about that again in the China rules. Okay, the next thing you're going to need is 4 cavalry for the Soviet Union. This will be the Mongolian cavalry. They're only activated, of course, if the Mongolian rule is activated. You either need, 4 cavalry, or maybe 2 cavalry with a couple chips, and we'll show you how that works when we do a game setup and talk about the Russia rules. Okay, so far, we've talked about things that you required. Is you're going to need the card deck for sure. It's 20 bucks. You're going to need some cavalry. Again, these are Axis and Allies miniatures. I think these are the Russian Cossacks. So you're going to need 4 of those, 3 China Cav. 3 China Cav and 2 tanks. So you can get all this stuff at HBG, a couple bucks, right? All right, and let's talk about some other recommended things. Is I would recommend some type of fuel gauge. I love these fuel gauges. They were helped designed, I think, by General Hand Grenade and HBG. They're fantastic, did a great job, and definitely want to keep track of your planes. So the last thing, I think, which is one of the most important, is you're going to need a rule book. I recommend this. Now, of course, they have the cards. And the cards, what's cool about them is the cards are numbered, okay? And so if you want to know about the cards, in the back page, card reference in the book, it shows you what the card number is, card 85, and it deals with Italy's national objectives. This is the one that says 5 IPC control of all original territories, okay? Now, the great thing about the rulebook is Siredblood has offered and provided this rulebook to the community for absolutely no charge. I will link that link here below in this description, and you can download this file free of charge, print it yourself if you like. Now, if you're kind of like me, a little bit OCD, and you want a professional quality, really, really nice, professionally printed book, you can order these from Siredblood. I'll put the description and information below on how to do so. I think they're $20 if I'm not mistaken, plus some shipping. And I think he has a few more left. He needs to order another batch, but you can order this really nice rule book. And I mean, look at this. This is absolutely amazing. I mean, the quality is impeccable. And you can order this for 20 bucks. And I think this will also be for sale on his website that should be up and running in November, okay? So, once again, as far as what's required is, of course, Axis and Allies global set, Europe and Pacific. You're definitely going to need the cards, right? You're definitely going to need the China Cavalry and 3 China Cavalry and 2 tanks. You're definitely going to need 4 Russian Cavalry. And then the last thing that you're going to need is you're going to need some Canadian Roundels, okay? These are from HBG, the nice thick ones, easy to pick up. You're going to need Canadian Roundels because Canada is a separate nation, which we'll talk about in the Canada Anzac UK video coming up later in the series. All right? And I might recommend picking up a few more Anzac infantry because the Canadian pieces are going to be, Canada and Anzac are going to share the same pieces, okay? We'll talk about what that looks like in a later video, okay? So those are the only things you absolutely need to have in order to play BBR, all right? So any questions, guys, please throw a comment down below. And again, check the description for links to where to get the cards, links to where to get the map, links to where to get his rule book. And don't forget to check in around November for Siredblood.com, the website that should be up and running very shortly. Thanks, guys, for watching. Appreciate it. And if you're interested in this content, a lot more videos to come in this series, and please click like or subscribe. Okay? Thanks.